Hey everyone, I'm Marina from Pineapple Yarn, and I'm here to share with you what I have been working on this week. Before I do that, I should let you know what I'm wearing today. This is the Sunshine Coast Sweater by Heidi Kirrmaier. It is one of my favorite knits that I have ever knit. It's such a great sweater. I used Bamboo Pop by, I think it's by Universal Yarns, and it is just a wonderful warm weather blend of, I think it's just bamboo and cotton. It might have something else in it, but I'll link it below. And I wear this sweater all the time. I made it several years ago and I just love it so much. So I think when I knit this pattern, I used the Bamboo Pop and it is lighter than a DK weight. I was actually really surprised when I received it. I ordered it online, and when I received it, it did not feel as heavy as a DK. It does not bloom when it's blocked. So I actually went up a size. I knit the second size in the pattern and it worked out great. The only thing, and actually this doesn't really bother me, but because this is a neck size up for me, I did find that the neckline is quite wide, which could be easily remedied. I could, if I was going to knit it again in this yarn, what I probably would do is cast on for a smaller size and then do the increases the same as the neck size up, just to get the fit the same. But it is really cute. It has 3/4 length sleeves and it just has like cute details in it. And it also has kind of a drapey fit. So it's very loose fitting and it's perfect by the beach. I mean, absolutely perfect. If you get those sea breezes that come in that are a little cool, absolutely perfect. So I pulled that on this morning and I probably will take it right off after this because it is quite a warm day here in South Carolina, but it is a really wonderful sweater pattern if you are looking for one. And I'm wearing these cute earrings today. These my daughter made, and she has a shop on Etsy. It's called Teal Breeze Co. I'll link her shop below. She makes polymer clay earrings and jewelry, and she's really quite talented. I've tried some polymer clay, and we'll just say I better stick with the wool. I better just stick with the wool. She's very talented. So I'm wearing some of these earrings, but she has started to make charms for some of my knitting kits. So those of you who were able to grab a kit in my last update, she actually made the super cute little scallop shells, charms that were included in that. So it's just so fun to see her creativity blossom, and for her to find something that's kind of her niche, something that she really loves. Well, since I finished my sun-washed citrus dotted raised shawl last week, I thought that I'd better pull up my pretty stripy sweater that I've been working on. This is the No Frill Sweater by PetiteKnit, and I am knitting this with two of my yarns, which are Cloud 9 and Naturel, and I am alternating colors every 15 rows. I'm really loving the sweater. I'm loving it so much. I cannot wait to wear it, and I have quite a bit done. I can't even believe it. So it's very simple, I'm just doing the stripes every 15 rows. this is what it is. It's a very simple sweater. I'm nearly done, or nearly down to the ribbing on the bottom. I think it is probably about waist length on me. I haven't tried it on yet. I kept meaning to do that this past week and just kept forgetting. So I really need to do that this weekend, but I'm very, very close to the ribbing, and I'm aiming for about a below the waist, but at a high hip level because it's just the most flattering shape on me and length on me. And then to the sleeves. But I did, so the last time I chatted with you, I think I was on my first skeins of yarn still. And so I did break into the next skeins. And so I still have, for each color, this amount, which is almost 100 grams. So that's a little surprising, even for me knitting all these years, that I was able to knit all of this with basically 2 skeins of yarn, and I'm on the next 2. So that's pretty cool. So I'm really enjoying this so much. I believe I'm using a US 6. Let me check real quick. I believe these are US 6, which is a 4mm. Yes, and this is what the pattern calls for. Usually I size down a needle because I'm a loose knitter, but with PetiteKnit patterns, I've found that I always get gauged with the recommended needle size. So that's kind of interesting and different, and it works, so it's good. So yeah, so what I had pictured this sweater, I really would like it to be a sweater for springtime. I know I am not going to be needing a sweater that is a wool DK weight until maybe November. It will probably be November till it's actually comfortably cool enough to put a sweater on like this, and it's probably not going to be for long. You know, it's like I'm out doing something in the evening and I need a sweater, so I'm going to pull this out. And by then I want autumnal colors, I'm going to want fall colors, just to be able to wear a little bit of fall color. So yeah, this is probably not going to be worn for a while, probably until, I think February would just be lovely because I'm always wanting spring, so February, March, even April, I could probably wear this. So that's kind of what I have pictured. It'd be so cute with a pair of like wide leg pants or over a dress. So cute. So I am really, really enjoying this right now. This is just a lovely, mindless knit, and as long as I'm counting and I change every 15 rows, we're good. But I do need to try that on this next week and just make sure that that it's all good and I'm getting close to the length. I haven't gone past it or anything. And this is a cute project bag from Gemma Bea Makes, and it's so cute. It has butterflies and flowers on it, and it's this really nice drawstring bag. It's just a really good size too. I really like it, and it will probably fit fine all through my sweater knitting. So it'll probably get a little snug, but it'll work. It'll work. So I have really been needing something portable. Even though I have taken the sweater with me on car rides and whatnot, but I really needed something small and portable, like that quick win type thing. And I have been meaning to cast this pattern on forever, and finally just took the time to wind my yarn, choose a yarn, wind it up, and get the pattern ready. But this was a pattern recommended to me actually by one of my viewers, and she had said if you're looking for a good pattern using Handspun, check out my pattern. So I did. This is called Duke City Mitts, and it is a pattern by Dagmar of ZiaWoolz. So if you're watching, hi, I cast on your pattern. Thank you for recommending it to me. It is for fingerless mitts, and it's so cool because she gives so many recommendations and needle sizes for different gauges of yarn, so which is perfect for handspun. She recommends knitting a gauge swatch. I could not think of that. She recommends knitting a gauge swatch so you can measure it, you know what needle size to use, so you can get an accurate sizing. But I didn't knit a swatch because I just didn't. I took a guess as to this yarn and what would make a good fabric, And I landed on a size 3, which is a 3.25 millimeter, I'm fairly sure. And this is a lot smaller than recommended for in the pattern. I think the smallest size recommended in the pattern is a US 6. So just a heads up, that's what is recommended. And I knew that this would probably be a smaller sized fingerless mitt, which is totally fine because y'all know I am always knitting for my children. Always. There's always someone who needs a hat. There's always someone who needs fingerless mitts, even though normally that's a pretty small season, the cold season here. But this is deep stash from my Handspun, and if you have been watching this channel for years, or if you've gone back and watched the older episodes, you might recognize this. So this is one of my first Handspuns. It may have even been my first, I want to say it is chain plied, or it's a 3-ply. It's very round. It looks like a chain plied yarn maybe. I can't imagine having the patience to do a 3-ply. I know it's not that big of a deal, but I don't usually do 3-plies. It's chain ply all the way. Plus, look at this gorgeous gradient. I'm thinking out loud here. This is definitely chain plied because this is just so gorgeous, this gradient. This is totally me knitting straight from this cake, not planning anything, no color management, anything like that. It's knitting up this way. Isn't that beautiful? It's just beautiful. And of course, as you can imagine, I've had several requests for these. Like, oh, who are you making that for, Mom? Is that for me? So I'm sure I can find someone to use these in my house, but they're so cute right now. I do think they're a little bit on the small side, so they will fit my children perfectly. But this is a fiber dyed by Classy Squid Fiber Co. And I think it's called Jelly Bean. It is Southdown, 4 ounces. And I remember this, of course I bought it for the colors all the way. I had no idea what Southdown was back in the day. I hadn't ever felt it in person or anything. And so when I was spinning this, I remember it being difficult. And I don't know if there was a little bit of compression or felting, something like that. If you go back on this channel to maybe episode 5 or 12, or one of the very, very early episodes, I'm sure this is on it. But I just love the colors. I'm so happy I pulled this out of my stash and started knitting it because it's just so, so beautiful. And the gradient is amazing. And so what I plan on doing, I think the green there is a large chance the green will go for the rest of this mitt. And then I'll probably I don't know, I don't remember how this was dyed or anything. I may have a fairly matching pair of mitts, but what I'd kind of like is kind of a mix and match pair, because I probably can get 2 pairs out of 4 ounces of this. It's spun fairly thin, and which is also a surprise because nowadays I always aim for a DK weight, a worsted weight. I really like Handspun that is on the chunkier side, but this is actually quite thin. I was really, really surprised about that, that I was spinning that thinly back in the day. But oh, I just think these are so pretty, and I know it's not the exact colors, but they remind me of a watermelon. I just think it looks like watermelon colors. It's just so beautiful, and I'm so excited to try out this pattern because it's the perfect canvas for all of these cool handspuns that you might have in your stash, or even just the great speckled yarns, or if you wanted to marl yarns together, if you wanted to hold 2 fingering weights together and knit these up. Oh, there's just so many things you could do. I think this would be so pretty if you had a tiny amount of scraps from an advent calendar or, you know, little mini skeins or whatever. I mean, it really does not use that much yarn. So I am thoroughly enjoying these right now, and so I'll link that pattern below in case you're interested. Just a really fun knit, and I can also see me knitting these up in the future just for gift knits to have on hand, because this is just a really fun portable project. So yeah, I'm really excited to have finally cast these on. Well, that is really all I have been working on this week. I've really been really been knitting on that sweater a lot because I felt like it was languishing for a little bit, and I really want to get a lot done on it and get it done, and so I can start new things. As far as weaving goes, I did start weaving, and I ran into some issues. So frustrating. So I guess if I should say, if you haven't watched last week's episode, I chatted quite a bit about my new loom, which is a Glimakra Emilia. It's a rigid Heddle loom. And what I like to knit on my rigid Heddle looms, not only do I like to knit wool projects like table runners or just fabric, I also like to knit dish towels, and that's really what I enjoy weaving. And I'm kind of coming to the point where I just don't know if rigid Heddle looms are, I know they're not ideal for weaving table or weaving dishcloths, just because you're using cotton, and cotton doesn't have a lot of stretch, it doesn't have a lot of give. You need a very tight warp for them, and it's hard to get that on. It's really difficult to get a very tight warp on a rigid Heddle loom, and my new Emilia loom is no exception. The way the loom is set up, it's basically split, and so it can, I think it's maybe so it's more portable. It may be able to fold up, I don't really know, but it's tightened on each side with handles that screw in. But anytime I try to tighten the warp very tightly, that comes loose, and it messes up the whole loom. So there's only so tight that I can get my warp, if that makes sense. The Emilia, from what I had understood, it angles up on the back, and it was supposed to create a larger shed, so a wider opening to pass your weft through back and forth as you weave. And I haven't found that to be the case at all. I've found it to be the same opening width, I guess, or maybe even a little bit smaller than my Krumsky Harp Forte loom. So that's also kind of interesting, and less than ideal, I guess. Finally, the other thing that I've worked with on this loom, the Heddle itself, with Ashford, with Krumsky, I don't know about Shacked. I'm trying to think. Basically, most rigid Heddle looms have heddles that have a bar on the top, a wooden bar on the top, and a wooden bar at the bottom. So when you set them in place, there's just a certain motion that you make. With the Glimakra Emilia, it only has that top bar, and the bottom one, the bottom is just free. And so I feel like that also adds to, it's just a little finicky. It doesn't work super well with the warp that I have on my loom right now, which is an 8/2 cotton for dish towels. So it's been very challenging. All that to say, I tried to use my Leclerc plastic Boat Shuttle, which I always used on my Krumsky Harp Forte loom, and it was not working at all. I cannot get the warp tight enough to pass a Boat Shuttle through using the warp as kind of a platform. So I thought, okay, I have warped this loom up. I have this brand new loom. I need to figure out how to make it work. And If I can't weave dish towels on it, fine, but I have this warp that I am going to do these dish towels and get them done somehow. I will figure it out. So I have purchased and will be receiving eventually. It's on its way. It is a 15-inch boat shuttle. It's very thin, and I think it's from Glimakra. I can't remember now because I feel like I ordered it a while back. But my weaving width is 19 inches. So if I have a boat shuttle that's this big and there's just a couple of inches on each side, I will easily be able to just pass it through from hand to hand while having the ease and the efficiency, I guess, of a boat shuttle and having a bobbin, or I think these use quills. So basically it's going to be the best of both worlds. It's going to be like a shuttle, a stick shuttle where you can reach through and you're not relying on a tight warp to slide the shuttle through, but it will also have a quill where I can wind the yarn on and not have to hand wind onto a stick shuttle. If you're not into weaving, I have been talking a lot about weaving, so feel free to skip all this, but I'll let you know how that works out. I would hate to give you information that, I haven't used this loom, and then you purchase it based on what I say, and then it doesn't work for you. So I'm just sharing my experiences in case you are interested in a rigid Heddle loom. Someday, like I said last week, I would love a floor loom, and I most likely will purchase one in the future. It's just not, I don't have the space and I don't have the time, and so it's mostly a space issue, let's be honest. I could find the time. Even if it was over many months that I wove dish towels or did a weaving project. But yeah, it was a little frustrating working on that this past week. But hopefully, fingers crossed, the 15-inch boat shuttle will work out, and I will let you know how it goes. Making this rigid Heddle loom work for me and work for my projects. I think that it will probably be just fine if I am weaving with wool, weaving with something that has a wool content, just because the warp is stretchier. And when I have used both stick shuttles and boat shuttles when I am weaving with wool. All day I prefer a boat shuttle because I can wind the bobbin and it's so much faster and more efficient. But if I have to use a stick shuttle, I will. It's just that I don't want to wind 8/2 cotton, which is very thin, by hand onto a stick shuttle. So that's all I have been working on with weaving. I just want to thank all of you so much, those of you who visited the shop during my shop update last week. I so appreciate it, and it was so much fun coming up with all the different items for you, and I do plan on releasing another Sea Breeze series of mini skeins. It will be the same ones that I did during the last update, but I had many people who are just so disappointed that they missed out on it. So I will let you know when that update will be. I do know that Amber O'Brien is having a knit along with her solstice wrap. That wrap actually used my original Sea Breeze advent calendar for last year, and that's why I came up with this series of mini skein gradient sets that you can mix and match. You can use in that cal or not. So I will, as soon as I'm done packaging up all of my clubs for June, I will definitely be dyeing those for anyone who's interested. I will also, fingers crossed again, have enough time this month to be doing another knitting kit. Again, there were many of you who missed out on the one that I put in the shop last month, and I'm so sorry about that. I always try to create more and put them in the shop so everyone can get what they want. Sometimes I just don't. So I will be doing another knitting kit, hopefully summer themed, beach themed, of course. But that is it for me this week. Thank you so much for joining me. If you like this episode, I'd love if you'd give it a thumbs up and subscribe. I'll be back again next week with another episode. But until then, I hope you are having tons of time to craft, and I hope it's bringing you so much joy in your life, and I hope you have an awesome day. Bye!